This is my 200 subscriber special, and I'm going to individually thank you. I waited a little while so that I knew that I wouldn't dip below 200 after making this video. And if I didn't thank you personally, that means that you have your privacy settings set to private, so I don't know who you're subscribed to. Thank you, ETC Reese. Thank you, Cold Splash. Thank you, Ashley Richard. Thank you, Giselle L. Thank you, Trolls Abbey. Thank you, Schaller Talus. Thank you, Strider Official. Thank you, Eduard Florea. Thank you, Helldog HD. Thank you, Tom Geets. Thank you, Boxer. Thank you, The Eagle Peak. Thank you, Pavla Kikov. Thank you, Benzek Kovacs. Thank you, Ankit Pandit. Thank you, Dragon 45187. Thank you, Salehin Adha. Thank you, Dante Sad. Thank you, Jarrett. Thank you, Hidong Chung. Thank you, Thomas Gel Selly. Thank you, the J Scout. Thank you, Fushimi Nora. Thank you, Jarma Randmai. Thank you, Crelia 900. Thank you, Leopardus. Thank you, Just Information. Thank you, Owen Sage. Thank you, Tim Bett. Thank you, Freed Buff. Thank you, Glenn MacLeod. Thank you, Fabian Nkui Kateregard. Thank you, Killerder. Thank you, Carrie Meranga. Thank you, Santiago Gomez. Thank you, Tamer. Thank you, No Idea for a Name. Thank you, Stolen Maymays. Thank you, Jan Reichelt or Reichelt. Thank you, Samu8882. Thank you, Boo Boo or Boo. Thank you, Rice Power 90. Thank you, Braden Schlaff. Thank you, Elias Olson. Thank you, Michael Path. Thank you, CSBC Plays. Thank you, Sleepy Stones. Thank you, Missa348. Thank you, Jean Laster or Jean Laster. Thank you, Pus Symbol or the Second or II. Thank you, Dinis Lopez. Thank you, Chibi. Thank you, Nilish Kumar. Thank you, Jake Carver. Thank you, Lovra Verlik. Thank you, Lazar Madzik. Thank you, Regian Rask. Thank you, Angelo Hernandez. Thank you, Insanity2222. Thank you, Tals Zigeti. Thank you, Stefan Zirojevic. Thank you, Wizzy13. Thank you, Ismael Gonzalez. Thank you, Alex Nang. Thank you, Cairo Phoenix. Thank you, Pierp. Thank you, Bartolomeus Wolzeski. Thank you, Daitaba. Thank you, Laurencio Guran. Thank you, Dylan Awa. Thank you, Idu, Monsieur Id or Edie. Thank you, Vision. Thank you, Darius Walker. Thank you, Bada Bing Bong. Thank you, Sems Altunsoy. Thank you, Smetlar. Thank you, Leonardo Pinto Perez. Thank you, Micros D or DE. Thank you, Lucas Skettle. Thank you, Alex Coolman 11. Thank you, Rigilin 119. Thank you, Rafael Alagiodzidis. Thank you, Azgun Caillou. Thank you, Fred Oldman. Thank you, Polar Bear. Thank you, Virish Uberoy. Thank you, Jason Smith. Thank you, Vochtech Green. Thank you, Anathema. Thank you, Random Person. Thank you, Braulio Almonte. Thank you, CDPC. Thank you, Joseph Smith. Thank you, Monk the Second Gaming. Thank you, Andres 109811. Thank you, Lenk 9. Thank you, Anika 444. 444. Sweet. Thank you, I love dank memes. Thank you, Sample Text Legion. Thank you, Matt Chandra. Thank you, the Mad Marxist. Thank you, Lil Fox. Thank you, Ali the Arctic Fox. Thank you, Ebreniu Unirdiev. I think that's what it is. Thank you, Kinley Gray. Thank you, The Spaniard Gaming. Thank you, Kevin Carls. Thank you, Almighty Emperor of Mankind. Thank you, Cody M. Thank you, Justin Johnson. Thank you, Carolina Coin Hunter. Thank you, Tommy Yee. Thank you, Alicia Gomez. Thank you, Mario Thane. Thank you, Jzork. Thank you, Nacho Marin. And thank you, Majora Link. Thank you to all of you. And then the next milestone will be 500 subscribers.